It's a pleasure to call this regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen and Mayor for the City of Natchez to order. And I'm going to ask everyone to please stand, if you would, so that we can join together in prayer. And as I am prone to do, I put some people on the spot. And I've done this before, so I know he's up to the challenge.
You're old.
Devin.
He's not going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Devin Heath, would you please say a prayer for us this evening, and then we'll follow that with our pledge.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we once again come to you and giving you praise and grace, and we ask that you continue to look over this city, that you continue to bless us as you have. You continue to guide our leaders and our community, and that you continue to let us do your work through your divine intervention. We ask that you continue to bless this community. In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let us join now together in our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We have a couple requests we need to get out of the way, as we're prone to do, because of the weather and some other conflicts. I will ask the clerk to administer the roll call, and then we're going to move on to a couple things so that some individuals can get on their way. Madam Clerk, if you'll issue or lead us in the roll call, please.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderwoman Irvin.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
And Alderman Dillard.
Here.
All are accounted for and present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. I'm going to skip down to city business because we have some individuals here who have some other obligations. And so we're going to first recognize Mr. Jeff Wilson, who is with Trinity Capital Investors, a presentation of a proposal for the investment of the city's bond funds for maximum return.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Wilson. I am turning this over to you, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Jeff Wilson. I am the President and Chief Investment Officer of Trinity Capital Investors. We're an SEC-registered money management firm that specializes in handling investments for the public entities in the state of Mississippi. I believe you all have a copy of our proposal that we shared with the mayor back before the end of last year. I do not want to bore you and go through page by page, but there are a few items that we need to talk about in this proposal. What we're proposing that we do is our firm work with the city clerk and the board to invest y'all's bond proceeds from the bonds you most recently sold last year. It's our belief that if you'll invest these funds for a short term until such time as they're needed by the contractor in the city, you'll see a pretty healthy return given the nature of the interest rate environment today. Trinity's been in business since 1998. We handle approximately $500 million for cities and counties and the colleges in Mississippi. We do handle a few other nonprofits, but the bulk of our business is in the public arena. I share that with you because we don't find ourselves ever torn between two masters. In this case, we don't try to serve the public and the private sector. So be aware of that, please, as you're going through our executive summary. We've been investing for 25 years just for this company. And prior to that, we ran bank portfolios and worked in the securities industry. As you're going through that proposal, I think it's on page, it says page 4, but it's after the first opening. You'll see we list a few goals for your bond proceeds. We believe this money needs to be available within a short moment's time. We told the city clerk that even with the bonds being invested, we'll be able to return the funds to you within 48 hours. So there's always going to be a little bit of a lag time, but as you're paying your bills, if we can get an email or a phone call, we can liquidate a bond and the funds can be there within 48 hours. these bonds will be governed by state statute. Trinity can't just make up bonds of which they want to buy in the name of the city. We'll be governed by 2133, 323, Mr. Callaway, but in this case, 3119.5 allows cities to take bond proceeds and invest them until such time as those funds are needed by the city to pay, in this case, a contractor or another vendor. We'll report to your city clerk. She'll get the reports from us by the 5th business day of every month. That way she'll know exactly what has transpired, every penny saved and every penny spent. We'll also be available to you on a quarterly basis so you too can see what we plan on doing. In a moment, you'll see what the plan may be, and we want y'all to measure us against that plan. The bonds or the cash at which you'll invest in these bond proceeds will be held by a third-party state-approved custodian. In this case, Trustmark National Bank has done the bulk of our work as custodian. That gives you a comfort of having a third party holding your funds in your name, and nothing can be done that does not meet the requirements of the state statutes. 100% of your portfolio is going to be made up of U.S. bonds, treasuries, U.S. agencies, and there may be an occasional Mississippi bond that will fit your needs. Various public entities in Mississippi issue taxable municipal bonds. We will use those when they fit. And I say when they fit because you'll have a real tight window for when this money is going to be needed, when you'll need it back. So there's not going to be a lot of long-term investing going through there. As you look through this proposal, you'll see we provide a securities by type guideline, and the page behind that is a portfolio composition. Those will be the 2 pages that you need to be watching as we prepare reports for you on a quarterly basis. We want y'all to see, if we say that you're going to have $3-4 million in U.S. Treasuries, and we come in with $2 million U.S. Treasuries, you need to ask why. Why is there less here than you thought there would be? And likewise, if we say there's going to be $4 million and they're coming in with $5 million, you need to know why there were more Treasuries than others. The bulk of this portfolio, though, based on state law, will be invested in U.S. agency bonds because it gives us a little more interest return than if we just use treasuries. Now, I go fast. I'm not worried about the rain. So don't let me go so quickly that if I say something that doesn't sound quite right or doesn't sit right with you, or if you have a question, please feel free.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Dillard.
with any investment, there's always some risk. What risk would be posed to the city if we ventured into this?
That's a good question. There's zero credit risk because all the bonds will be guaranteed by the U.S. government, either through their agency or through their direct appropriation of the treasuries. The risk is going to be that we invest all the bonds too long and you need the bond money back quickly. There could be market risk. But based on the schedules that will be provided to us, the bulk of this money is going to be pretty short. I don't want to practice law here, but it's pretty common knowledge that in bond proceeds, you need to use 80% of the money within 3 years. There's not a whole lot of flexibility there, so there's not going to be a whole lot of risk to market risk in that regard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Alderman Dillard, thank you.
What
Alderman Frazier, you recognize.
what is y'all cost to do this?
We'll charge you 1/4%, 25 basis points. It's what the contract calls for. However, as I met with the mayor last 2 weeks ago, we told him because of the short nature of this money, not being longer term city money, that will probably be reduced to about 15 basis points, 0.15 of 1%. And to make it easy on me, since I didn't bring a calculator, if we invested $10 million and kept it for a year, we'll charge you $15,000 on $10 million. However, let's talk about that in relation to what we'll do. If we can invest $10 million, and again, I'm using that number because it's easy on me. You can need to expect a return net of fees, net of what you're going to pay me and net of what you're going to pay the custodian. You need to be expecting returns in around a 3.5% to 4% area. So that would mean net of my fees, you're going to be making $300,000 to $400,000 for a full year if it's $10 million. So if it's $5 million, $150,000. But I think it's somewhere between 6 and 8 on the free bond proceeds?
Yes,
And
that's
these-
correct.
These are 10-year bonds.
No, so these are gonna probably be 18 months, 2 years.
Good questions. Thank you. Any further questions, discussion? Yeah.
Mayor, let me just
Have,
make,
Mr. Wilson making his presentation.
thank you. I would ask y'all, if there are any questions or concerns, look at those comparable accounts. Look at those cities with whom you'll be allied with here, who've done business with us and continue to do so, as well as some of those references down there. We use city clerks because that's who handles the money for cities. But feel free to call Gene McGee or
Mr.
Butch
Mayor.
Lee.
Yeah. Alderwoman Smith has her hand raised. Alderwoman Smith?
Yes, can you tell us the guidelines on how that money can be spent? I know there's some regulations on where we can use the money.
The money can be spent based on what your bond indenture tells you. I will provide the interest back to you any way, shape, or form you want. I can hold it and reinvest it, or I can send it back to you and put it in your fund balance.
And we can use our proceeds to pay on the interest, yes.
Yes, you can use the interest earned to pay. Now, that becomes a question, city attorney and I talked about earlier. I don't know exactly how long your bonds are that were issued. How long, what's the final term of those, Mayor?
Oh,
Our projects are gonna be completed within
They
a
are.
3-year project.
But how long was the bond
terms,
term?
are anywhere from 10 years to
Okay. Okay.
3 to 5
As-
on the shorter term projects.
Okay. The concern that we talked about earlier was, I'm not so much concerned about the credit risk or even the risk of having funds available. The only one I was concerned about was an arbitrage rule. In the old days, you couldn't make too much money off your municipal bonds. You've issued them at a tax-free rate below right at 2.5% level net interest cost. You're going to be making north of 3.5, 4. So the arbitrage rule comes in there where you really can't make more than 1/8 plus $50,000 is the rule of thumb. But that's over the life of the bonds. So the longer the bonds are and the shorter I have invested, that won't be a concern. But it's a heck of a thing to say, but making too much money is a bigger concern for the bond indenture than it is.
Alderwoman Hall, you're recognized.
I was only going to say that the bond investments is strictly only for the use of the bond and the bond projects.
Yes, ma'am.
Make that known to
Interest
the
funds
public.
can flow as you wish, but the bond proceeds themselves, the corpus has to stay with them.
Okay.
The projects are in the account.
All right. Any further questions?
Ms. Irving.
All right. What I'd like to say is this, if you look at the references provided, you have everything from cities, public entities, even Alcorn on the list, Mississippi State University. But I'm very impressed in the fact that you do so much work for the municipalities, the Mississippi Municipal League. And I know that you have for many years managed the funds for all the work comp programs for the cities of Mississippi and the liability funds for the self-insured liability programs for the cities, all through the Mississippi Municipal Service Company. So there is no question that, Mr. Wilson, you definitely have the credentials.
Well, you're kind. Thank you.
I would say also, I am very grateful that Alderman Frazier asked the question. Obviously, the rates that your firm charges are very reasonable compared to what the return can likely be for the city. It definitely stands to reason that this is a specialized area, not something that everyone does. It's not the same as just going to your local bank or stockbroker. And I'm very grateful that you have brought your talent and your company's capabilities to us for our consideration. At this time, the board can take this under advisement. The board can make a motion. It's just simply up to the board and what the board is comfortable in doing tonight.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Frazier?
I'd like to make a motion that we take this under consideration.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Alderman Frazier that we take this under consideration, under advisement, and that motion has been seconded by Alderwoman Irving. We'll have discussion on the motion. All right, we'll call Yes, Alderman
I
Smith.
just ask that everybody do their homework before the next meeting because time is money.
Time is money. Time
So
is
the
money.
longer we
What I
wait-
suggest we do is that we come back with the, and Mr. Mayor, if I may just.
Yes,
that we
Alderwoman
come
Irvin.
back with a refresher. I mean, because he said a year ago we had this information. And I know we just did.
Not a year ago, right before Christmas.
But I'm only giving,
When he said last year,
Oh,
he
okay.
meant right before
Okay.
Christmas.
okay, so again, I'm wanting, more information so that it can refresh my memory so that we can have a good discussion. And that's why I'm sitting here with this puzzled look because I'm recalling very little information and I don't have any information to go back to look at.
We met right before Christmas. We had a meeting just a week or so ago at City Hall. This is our first meeting of the year that is not a special called meeting. I don't know how we can be any more prompt than that. We are not pushing for a vote, but what we are saying is,
Would have if we had not said table, but we're good. I said
I'm going to rule
Okay.
that out of order as being
Okay.
argumentative.
It's not.
I
It's
simply
just a
said it's
statement.
up to the board.
it's a statement.
I want to make a point that Mr. Wilson has provided you with an email that was copied. It's in your packet, but also on the proposal is his email, his phone number. If you feel comfortable with this, that's up to you. If you don't feel comfortable with this, I am not a financial advisor anymore. I once was, but I'm no longer. I would encourage you as aldermen, alderwomen, if you do have questions, to call Mr. Wilson directly and ask those questions. And as we just said, time is money. We look forward to doing what's best for the city, hopefully at our next meeting. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Frazier.
Simply stated, what she was just saying is we just need a little more time. As you say, time is money. We understand it, but we just need a little more time to absorb this. That's all.
Yes, exactly what I said earlier. It's whatever the board is comfortable in so doing. The motion has been made. We now will call for the question. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Mr. Wilson, thank you so much. And you will be available if they have questions and phone calls, correct?
Yes, I can leave some business cards.
Okay.
City clerk if they-
All right.
Thank you.
Just drop them by each alderman if you don't mind. We don't mind you making a run through the table. Give me a chance to shake your hand before you hit the road. We have another item before us, and we are so grateful to Robert Purnell and Lance Harris and their team of committee chairpersons, chairman, for being here tonight to make another proposal and presentation to the board pertaining to the final design for the Natchez U.S. Colored Troops Monument. And so, Mr. Purnell, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Board of Aldermen. Thank you for having us again. I am here. I have a couple of people with me as well. Mr. Harris, which you will hear from, who chairs the Monument Committee, and Mr. Carter, who is the Vice Chair of the U.S. Colored Troops, and also Mr. Devin, Mr. Heath, who everybody knows, and personally, I think he's doing a good job over there. We started this project in November of 21, and we have been transparent and upfront, and we wanted to have this as a community project. And without me going through all of the things that we've done, you guys have heard that before. I want to just bring up Mr. Harris to do an update on the diagram and where the project will be located.
Thank you, and good to see you, Mr. Harris. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board, for having us here tonight. Appreciate your time. And I also want to say Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. So just as a quick recap again, I know we met last December, and just some more of how we've been conducting the work of the Monument Design Subcommittee. We worked hard. We, again, as Robert mentioned, we had a community engagement meeting in November of 2021. And then in the spring of 2022, the Monument Design Subcommittee started working diligently on putting together an RFQ to select a designer for our project. As you know, Mr. Devin Heath, he came before you as the board, and y'all agreed for the site being selected at the corner of Broadway and Madison Street, right on the corner of the Bluff property on the River Bluff. So the RFQP was released in May of 2022. We did some diligent research on the 10 applicants from across the country that put in for that, and we ultimately ended up selecting Jay Warren to lead this project for us. Jay is a native of Mississippi, born in Vicksburg, raised in Rolling Fork, but he's really spent the majority of his career in Oregon, and he's done monuments of similar design throughout America and Canada as well. And so the team was put together. He subcontracted Brantley Snipes Landscape Design out of Greenwood, Mississippi, and they came down. We conducted an additional public engagement meeting in October of this year, and also had an open period for the time where they could collect comments from the community regarding the designs that they put forward. Out of those designs, A was selected to move forward, and the overall Natchez USCT committee decided to go with A, concept A. And if you look up at the screen, you'll see some of this. If you can scroll up a little bit, Dustin, this is an image right here of the sculpture design that's being proposed.
And I'd like to say for the record, this is the same presentation that was shown to the board and the handouts given in December, correct?
Yes, sir, that's
so
correct.
This is, a repetition of material shared in December. Yes, thank you.
Sure thing. What you're going to see, there actually is one change from this design based on the comments that we received back from some of you, as well as some community members. There's a change to the overall site plan. If we can go to the next page, Dustin. And so this is the site plan, the image, the green space. That design has been changed, and we'll pull that up on the additional sheet. Sure. Mr. Purnell did hand everybody one of these sheets right here, and you can compare that to the change seen there. It does take up less of a footprint in that space. And with that, I think we've met a lot of the requirements that we wanted to have in our design.
There it is.
And so, again, the committee has adopted this design, and we're hopeful that the city will also adopt and approve this site layout and design for us to move forward with for the next phases of the project.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Hall?
I move that the board of Aldermen approve the U.S. Color Troops design.
Second.
All right. The motion's been made by Alderwoman Hall and seconded by Alderwoman Irving. Discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Will the city act as sponsors for any grants or monies that will generate, the necessary input to have this monument built?
I'll let Mr. Purnell.
Yes, one of the reasons we're adamant about getting the Board of Aldermen to sign off on it is before we start applying for major grants and going to foundations, we have to have approval from the political body that it's okay to do. And that's what we're here doing now. We have started looking at foundations and not just mini grants, but major grants, because that's what it's going to take. But right now we're at a standstill until the Board of Aldermen make a decision.
Well, let me rephrase my question then. And I'm concerned, and we just need to know on the Board of Aldermen. For example, will the city be expected to provide matching funds for grants, or will the city be provided, to provide contributing funds for the construction, other than the in-kind stuff of utilities and the sort of things that we're able to do within our, capabilities. Are you asking the city, or will the city be asked to provide matching funds or funds of any means towards this effort, other than, again, the utilitarian kind of things that we're able to do?
Well, I think that would depend on the grant itself. Some grants want matching funds. Some grants are historically significant. So I can't stand here and say the city won't have to put in something. Quite frankly, I would expect the city to do something.
Well,
but
quite frankly, I think on the site meeting, I asked the same question, and I was left to believe that this would be a private effort and that they would generate monies out of the private sector for this effort. Is that not what we understood?
I think that's what I just said in terms of grants and foundations. But you asked me whether the city have to put in. I can't answer that question. It depends on where we are in the fundraising.
I do want to bring us back to the motion. The motion is to approve the design. This is not a discussion of funding, and all those are pertinent questions, yes.
I disagree,
but
Mr.
it's
Mayor.
too early to really answer all of that. Yes, Alderwoman
Just
Smith.
let me add one thing. We don't ever have to approve a grant unless we approve it.
right.
Any grant can be presented to us, and if you get the votes, it's approved. But there are a lot of foundations, and a lot of other avenues for money that they're going to be
They
looking at.
Well, the
And
uncertainty
if
of the,
enough money's not raised, I mean, this will have to be adjusted to what we can do money-wise.
That's
So there's a whole lot of moving parts in the situation. Thank
Mr.
you, Mr.
Mayor,
Mayor.
I
Yes,
think-
Alderman Dillard.
I disagree with that, and I think that with the responsibility of the Board of Government Authorities to have to know what it is entered into and what is it expected to contribute. It could be considered an expense or a percentage of expense, but that's an open-ended check, Mr. Mayor, and I don't think that I can support that.
Mr.
I don't
Mayor.
believe that we are being asked. The motion is simply to approve the
That's
design.
correct.
Financial considerations are not being discussed at this time.
I think
And
I
that
heard
will
Mr.
come,
Purnell say
as
that they were seeking approval so that they could begin the process of seeking grants.
Yes,
Now,
we want them to seek grants.
If they
And
seek grants
foundations.
and they obligate or encumber the city's financials, then you're on a.
I'm not-
As Alderwoman Smith so correctly stated, this board has to approve any grant application, and no grant application.
It becomes a
is before
slippery
us
slope,
tonight.
Mr. Mayor, because they're going to come with a grant. It's going to require, say, a 25% match on $1 million project, and then the city is going to be forced into making a decision, and you're going to have to come up with $250,000.
Well,
We have no idea what type of grant.
you're
We don't know.
that's all speculative, and right now I want to.
I think it's speculative on your part to vote on something you don't know what it is.
It could be.
I'm sorry. I'm going to ask, is there any more pertinent discussion to the motion? I'm not going to entertain argumentative discussion. Alderman Frazier,
Or meaningful discussion.
Alderman Frazier, you are recognized.
Mr. Mayor, are we going the same route as they probably take a stand monument?
There you go. Bingo.
No, we're not.
That's what I said.
Because the proud to take a stand monument, first of all,
Private donation, mostly private donation.
it was donations, but it was donations that, look, I
I'm just
I
asking a
donated a lot to the proud to take a stand monument
You did.
myself.
You did.
So, but this is a lot larger, and I think what's being missed here is the revenue that this would bring in to the city. I mean, people are going to want to come and see it. This is not a marker somewhere. This is a monument. So the city gets the tax and other revenues from this. So this is not like we're going to develop something until let the city pay for it. That's not it. And that's why we have been so methodical on how we present this, the professionalism that's in it, because that's what the major foundations and grants want to see, that we actually put a lot of thought into it. But in terms of the city, I can't answer that question.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Alderwoman Hall.
I call the question.
Okay. Question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall,
Aye.
Alderman Frazier, Alderwoman Smith,
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
I got a question.
I'm sorry, the question's been called.
What
We're
are we voting
voting.
on? Can you repeat the motion?
The motion, and you seconded the motion,
So we're
Was to
still with that
approve-
motion. That's
to
Mr.
approve
Mayor.
the plan. Approve there.
All I
Okay.
asked was for you to repeat the motion again.
I just
That's
did.
all I asked.
I just did. And
Okay,
what is
and-
your vote?
Okay, and my vote is yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Davis, Alderman Dillard.
Nay.
All right, with 5 ayes and 1 nay, the motion carries. I thank you so much for all of your
Thank
hard
you.
work.
I thank the
And we are
board.
excited. I want it noted
I'd like to say one more
that
thing.
this is something, and I'll recognize you in a minute,
Okay.
that this is something that honors those men who served our country at during a very difficult time in our nation's history. Over 8,000. Just last month, I visited the National Monument to the U.S. Colored Troops in Washington, D.C. It was very moving to be there, and to be there with individuals from Natchez, like Mr. Lee Jackson, who pointed out to me the name of his ancestor that is on that monument. And he is now an attorney in D.C., but from this area. It's important to note that we have had representation of descendants of the U.S. Colored Troops on every subcommittee during this process. We've had their input. And this final design actually puts forth now a monument that, in my opinion, will be just a treasure in Natchez, but also a national treasure that so many can come to see. I also find it very fitting that we are tonight taking an action that I had hoped would be unanimous, an action that honors not only these troops, but also their descendants, who consist of over 90% of our African-American population in this city. It is time, it is past time that their story not only be told, but that it be celebrated. And I'm excited for the step that we took tonight. And if you agree with me, I would invite you to Alderman Frazier, you're recognized.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I would like to say to all of those involved, thank you very much. I also would like to say thank you to Mr. Boxley, the local historian, who kept me informed on this, because first I wasn't on board with it. But I want to thank him and everybody that's involved. And one and last final point, and I know y'all probably did it, but you need to let everyone know in this room that that monument represented every black soldier and branch that fought in the Civil War. Navy, Army, Navy, and whatever. So I just want to let everyone know that's just that monument gonna represent everyone throughout the country that fought during the Civil War. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor
again.
and board.
Mr. Mayor, one
Yes,
other thing I want
Alderwoman
to say,
Irving.
and the 8 companies that it represents as well. You all shared that just the other
The
day, the 8
six,
companies.
the
Represents
6
eight.
companies.
Okay,
Yes,
six. Okay, but thank you all.
Thank
you all.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We now will welcome our visitors, Mr. Ricky, and thank you for your patience. Mr. Ricky Warren, because of the weather. Mr. Wilson, thank you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to just say, Mr. Ricky Warren, in light of the weather, is not going to be here tonight, but he will be here next meeting with the Scouts of America, and we are very grateful for their service to our community. We have Mr. James Berry representing a rodeo committee, and Mr. Berry has made the request to be on our agenda this evening, and he is going to be recognized for 5 minutes. And Mr. Berry, it's good to see you.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you, Mayor,
for
and
being
the Board of
here.
Aldermen
And
for allowing
thank you
us.
for your patience with us.
Yes, sir. Ain't no problem. It's worth it.
Thank you.
Me and my colleagues, the rodeo committee of Natchez, we're asking, not demanding, that we be allowed to participate in the animal horses events for the be a part of the parades within the city limits of Natchez, Mississippi. What's been presented to you is a copy of the ordinance that we found, and also an article that protects the city and the people who are putting on the event, saying that anytime you do being a part of a equine event, that the city nor the person that's putting it on is liable for any kind of accident or anything. If you notice in that article, it'll explain that to you at the end. Like I said, we also looked at the ordinance, and I didn't see anything in the ordinance about horses being able to be paraded. I saw livestock being housed in the city limits, or dogs not being on a leash, or attack animals, but I didn't see anything that would stop us from being a part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, this thing it's way deeper than what you think. You know, when I was a little boy, I used to be glad to go to the parades, watch the horses, because we would hang around and wait for the horse, because that's the last thing that come through. What brought that to my attention was when we got turned down for the last parade. Man, I got so many calls from inner city kids because they were looking for it. The day before, we was told we was going to be able to participate. So the word got around we was going to participate. Then all of a sudden, bam, the legs were cut from under us. We was told we wasn't going to be able to. And that's when we was told about the ordinance and then the liability part of it. So that would make me go in along with Mr. Turner and the rodeo committee, Mr. Mayberry, Ms. Gaines, Mr. Gaines, my son, Miss Jackie Marsall. We all took time to check into this and do our research to make sure that, you know, we would be covered and it wouldn't be a problem, you know, in this deal. I remember when law enforcement officers used to ride in the parade, the sheriffs, the sheriff deputies, the police officers. I don't know when this thing came in effect that stopped it. You know, I really don't know. I know we used to have, and we still do have trail riding clubs. This is a form because I know we big on people coming to the community. What they call it?
Don't worry about it. We understand.
Well, anyway, we got people that be looking forward to coming to Natchez. Other trail riders, tourists. Yeah, excuse me, but tourists. This is a tourist town. Anyway, but people be looking forward to coming here and spending money, staying in the hotels, you know, and want to participate. I remember when parades used to be 2 hours, now they 20 minutes. And we just want to be a part of the community. You know, we just want to be a part of the community growing and things like that. And like I said, supporting our kids, that's the main thing, the youth. You know, we saying that the youth don't have nothing to do, but when they took that away, you know, we took a lot away from the youth too.
Mr. Baird.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you, Mr. Berry. Alderman Frazier?
The only concern that I think what this came about is the horses and the extremities, what they're dumping on the street.
Right.
I think that's what it was all about. Who was going to clean up behind the horses?
Well, Mr. Frazier, and to clarify that, if you do your research on horses, most horses use the bathroom in the trailers before they come. I ain't gonna say no horse ain't gonna use the bathroom on the street, and I ain't gonna say they don't, but it's not of that magnitude. You know, people be thinking, oh, it's gonna be horse manure always. No, it's not like that. But to solve that, we're willing to have somebody on an ATV to come behind to be at the end of the parade before the street sweeper and get it up. You know.
Let me excuse me.
I'm sorry. The way our rules are, Mr. Berry's the only one who is permitted to speak. I'm so sorry about that.
Let me put my final thought on this, Mr. Mayor, to the rest of the public. These gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen that's sitting out there on this rodeo committee, I'm familiar with each and every last one of them. And Mr. Berry and the rest of these people are true, what you would say, true cowboys to their heart. And Mr. Berry himself, and I know Mr. Gaines, they bring business to Adams County. These gentlemen hold rodeos within the county, anywhere else that they want to have a rodeo. So I'm just simply saying that I know it's possible that we as a board work with them and try to get them what they want as they want to be in the parade. And I know a lot of people, like they say, a lot of people in the community would love to see the horses, like you say, the kids and everyone else. So if Brother Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept them as accept these horses in the parade as long as they clean up behind themselves. And the liability factor is on.
Liability is on the owner of the horse. It's not. It's
Alderman
not on.
Frazier has made a motion, and when a motion's made, we need a second.
Second.
And that motion has been seconded by Alderwoman Irving. I will entertain discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly would like to hear the input and give the attorney a time to review these. I've looked at the, what she presented us, and quite honestly, I only saw a horse a couple times in here. So, I would think that we would be wise to get input, take it under advisement. I don't know why the horses were not in the last parade.
Well, it's never been an incident or accident, far as I know.
I think it would at least make me more comfortable. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Irving.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. One of the other things that had been discussed in prior a couple of years was that the horse needed a diaper. So if they could wear the diaper to catch the horse manure, then that was permissible for the board.
Okay.
That was permissible for the board.
Alderwoman Smith.
The two issues I do remember were like Alderman Frazier said, excrement, and then the other was the liability. So, we might want to just make this pending attorney look through and make sure of the liability issues on it. I mean, I would.
What you can either vote to approve the motion, or you can entertain a motion to table this motion until further study by the attorney.
Or he could amend it to.
Or he could amend it.
Pending the attorney.
But hold on.
Pending-
Oh, excuse me.
Pending the attorney's review. Mr. Berry, yes, sir.
But we've been getting this for the last 3 or 4 years, and we was hoping that we could get this issue resolved today. I mean, I didn't put it in front of you.
It has been.
I didn't put it in front of you. The law, Mississippi law, that's stating that, and then here it is right here, under Mississippi law, an equine or livestock activity sponsor or an equine livestock professional is not liable for an injury to or death of a participant in an equine activity or livestock show resulting from the inherent risk of an equine activity livestock show to this chapter. So, I mean, that covers it. I mean,
Thank
what
you.
else can the lawyer?
Thank you. Our attorney is recognized, Mr. Callaway.
With all due respect, Mr. Berry, that statute does not define equine activity as a parade. I don't know if it covers a parade.
It's an
I mean,
equine
it's not
activity.
black and white in that language of the statute. And the other ordinance that you brought, we amended that animal ordinance last year.
This is
That's not
1997.
the current animal ordinance. Did you apply for
That's
a
the only
permit
one.
and were you denied a permit?
No, we never had to get a permit to do
I
that.
think you would.
We never had
That
to.
you would
That's,
need to get a.
that's not
permit.
that has never been an issue as far as we're
Alderwoman
concerned.
Smith.
That was the third thing. It was because there weren't permits, and then that was another liability thing. I mean, I think everybody on here wants horses in a parade. I don't think that's the issue, but I want to make sure we do our homework with our city attorney to make sure we are covered in a parade, and he can
Okay.
find that out. Or if we need to get special insurance, I mean, we just need to make sure that we do this correctly, because I remember at that time point, we did some research, and there were some incidents at some parades, and there were some lawsuits, and I'm not saying that would happen.
Not in Natchez.
But no, not in Natchez,
Yeah.
no, but you never know.
All
So,
right,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Callaway has
Mayor.
offered to research this and have it back to the board very soon.
Excuse me,
Alderman
Mr. Mayor.
Frazier.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I-
Alderman Frazier.
I still have a motion on the floor.
Yes, you do. And I was going to ask
and
you
the
if you
discussion
would.
is still at hand.
It is. And I
And-
was going to ask you, it seems that there's a desire to have an amendment made to that motion to
let me-
allow review by the attorney.
Let me say this. As Mr. Berry stated, they've been trying to do this for the longest. And from my understanding, they're trying to get this done before
The
the-
Black History Parade.
the
Right.
Black History Parade. Now, if the attorney can see fit to have this done before the Black History Parade, then I would withdraw my motion. If not,
We're not asking you withdraw your motion. We're asking you amend it that it would be pending the attorney's review.
well, how long my thing is how long it's gonna take? Like I said, they're trying to get this done before the Black History Parade.
What's the date for the Black?
What's the
History
date? Can you-
What is the date for the Black History?
What's the date for the
Parade?
Black History Parade?
February
February 20th.
20th. Okay.
Sure is.
All right.
Got to read.
And And also, before you
Yeah.
close, I'd like to let you know that we started a petition today just to see how would it go at 10 o'clock this morning. We as of now got 170 signatures. So the community is behind us
Thank you.
in this.
All
Mr.
right.
Mayor,
The
Yes,
next board meeting is-
yes,
I
Alderwoman.
move to table
Hall?
this pending review by our attorney. First of all, the
You
ordinance
can't,
is
you
in.
can't do that.
She can
I
do
can
that.
table-
You
I
can
can
move
table
to
a
table a
motion.
motion. And
You
that
hadn't
motion,
voted on mine yet, Mr. Mayor.
well,
He said we're gonna amend the
Okay,
motion.
they asked you to amend it.
I offered to you to amend the motion. You didn't. I can entertain a motion to table it.
Pending our attorney's review.
Now, if that motion fails, we will continue with discussion of the motion. But that motion has to have a second. Does the motion to table pending review of the attorney have a second? Is there a second to Alderwoman Hall's motion? Her motion is to table the motion pending a review of the attorney. Do I have a second to that
Can
motion?
you allow,
First of all,
can you just
the
allow her
ordinance
to
that's been
state it
presented
clearly
is not the
again?
correct ordinance.
I'm sorry, I can't entertain any more discussion until there's a second to that motion. Is there a second to the motion to table? Without a motion to table,
Let
then
it
your
die.
motion
Let it die.
dies.
Let it die.
We are now back into regular discussion on Alderman Frazier's motion. Alderman Frazier, are you willing to amend your motion pending an attorney review to be conducted by our next meeting?
I will amend this motion only if they get some results by the 20th, before the 20th of February.
All
The
right,
next meeting is the
all right,
seventh.
then.
Is that fine with you, Mr. Mayor?
I
All
second.
right, all right, and so the author of the motion has now amended that motion to be pending a review by the attorney in time for the next parade, is what you said. And that has been seconded by Alderwoman Irving, who seconded the motion. She's accepted the amendment. So we now have discussion on the amended motion. The question has been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I really think you need to apply for a permit for the horses in the parade. Everybody
Okay.
else applies for a permit.
Okay, go
30
ahead
days, So
and
go on and get it done.
go ahead and
Got
work with the
time.
police chief on that. Yes, sir, Alderman Frazier.
The
I have one question.
Yeah.
Do you want him to apply for a permit for the rodeo? Because there's more than one person riding it.
right. And then the person
So
that's
who
putting
you-
it on,
Who need to
the
apply for the
sponsor.
permit?
they apply.
Okay. Apply through the police chief.
That's what I'm trying to find
Yeah.
out. That's what I'm trying to
Right,
find
There
the
you
rodeo
go.
club applies.
All right.
That's what I'm
So
trying
one
All right. Mr. Berry, thank you.
So excuse, let me ask one
Yes,
question.
sir.
So the sponsor of the parade, if they add horses in their clause, does that cover it?
No,
Right now, we need to let the attorney do his work before, between now and the parade. The motion just passed.
Okay.
We're not going to have any further discussion. The motion is passed. We have to move on.
Thank you.
But Mr. Berry, thank you, and we look forward to the review of the attorney. And Mr. Calloway, do you have a way to contact Mr. Berry if you have any questions?
I know.
Mr. Berry, if you'll provide Mr. Calloway your contact information.
Mr. Berry.
Mr. Berry, if you would provide our attorney your contact information so that if he has any questions, he can reach out to you. We would appreciate that. All right. Thank you, everyone. We now will continue. We have Mr.
Berry.
Carter Burns here. Mr. Burns has been very patient, and we don't desire to keep him here all night. And so I'm going to recognize Mr. Carter Burns to come forward. This is under the city attorney's report, and this is for discussion and approval of the Auburn Management Agreement. Mr. Burns, thank you, and you are recognized.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Board. I'm here tonight on the proposal from the Historic Natchez Foundation to take over management and operation at Auburn. As you all know, the previous group has given that up, and they're dissolving. And so then the invitation of the mayor, the foundation got involved to figure out a management plan to move forward at Auburn. And so we have an agreement, management agreement that Mr. Calloway has prepared, and we've had input on. It's based on the previous agreement with the previous group, a lot of the terms are very similar. The first term is a 2-year term because this administration is 2 years into their term, and as you know, you can't bind beyond your term. So then it would be for 4-year terms. After that, continuing. It includes an inventory of all the furnishings that was done back late last year, and specifies which of those items belong to the city, which of those items are there on loan. The foundation would endeavor to, continue furnishing the house and having it open on a regular basis. We want to have it open during both pilgrimages, the Natchez Garden Club and Pilgrimage Garden Club pilgrimage, and then it will be open to the public at regular hours that we will work out. We will have an insurance policy where the city is named as an additional insured. The proceeds will be split 75 to the foundation, 75% to the foundation, 25% to the city, which is the same as the previous group for admission fees and any income produced there at the site. The foundation will not be able to bind the city for any expenses or anything like that. If there's any money that needs to be spent by the city at the site, we will contact the proper people at the city, and then they will either handle it through the Auburn budget or bring it to you if it's something that needs to come to the board. And the foundation will handle the management of Auburn, either through our own employees or volunteers or potentially a third party. It'll be some combination of that to handle the operations of the site. So that is pretty much the gist of the agreement, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that anybody may have.
It's very, very straightforward. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion before we go into discussion. We really are supposed to have a motion first before we go into discussion on items, and I sometimes let that rule slide, but in this case, I would like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
The second by Alderwoman Smith. We'll now entertain discussion of the motion.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, Alderman Dillard, you're recognized.
Mr. Attorney, is this document that's been presented in our packet, is this the final draft?
No, I made changes to this afternoon, Alderman Dillard, but most of those were semantics more than anything substantive, except for this change. I added a clause, and Mr. Carter and the foundation agreed that we're entering uncharted territory, and the last thing that the city wants to do is fall out with the foundation, and the foundation doesn't want to fall with the city. This is basically a 2-year trial run of them operating Auburn. We're going to have to budget for the expenses, and they're going to help us with the budgeting, but they're going to run the day-to-day operations. But you can't really pin down everything they're going to do, and we kept trying to back and forth. What are you going to do, and what am I going to do? Finally, I think the agreement that I put, and I don't know that it's in yours, but it's in the final that the mayor would sign, is an escape clause for both parties. And it says
Paragraph.
that this contract can be terminated. Either party may terminate and cancel this agreement without cause upon 60 days written notice to the other party.
What paragraph are you reading from?
It's in paragraph 17, and I added it this afternoon after going back and forth. It's not in your, that's the only substantive change I really made to the contract. I think Alderman Dillard was an escape clause because we are in uncharted territory. If the aldermen don't like this in 60 days, we can terminate the contract. We don't have to have a reason. If they don't like it, they can terminate it. So it gives us the groundwork for them to operate our building and manage it for us. But if we don't like the way it's going, we have an escape clause. If they do good, we'll take the escape clause out. But that's a good way to get us started down the road, I thought.
Okay.
All right. One more question.
Yes, Alderman Dillard.
Carter, we had talked, I think, before about this, but if we could maybe have a snapshot of expenses and revenues. It doesn't have to be like an audited statement, but on a monthly basis so that we can kind of see where the trends are going. It would certainly help me a lot. But I'm not obviously trying not to put an undue burden on the foundation for this. But I mean, I know the books are open, but just a monthly snapshot to be presented to the city clerk and included in the alderman's boxes.
Right. And we, having here to do an annual report, a full report to the alderman, but, the foundation, we do a monthly report to our board anyway. So we can certainly provide that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman
One other
Dillard.
question, Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Irving, you're
I just want
recognized.
to ask, I'm looking at the agreement, the time commencing January 1.
Obviously,
Will
that
that date change? I mean,
obviously
with
that
the-
will need to change.
We change to the date we sign it.
Okay.
But this has been kicked around before Christmas. It just didn't get finished before
I'm
Christmas.
just asking. That was my
Certainly.
question.
All right.
That was my
Any
question.
further discussion? Alderman Frazier?
We are paying the foundation to run all, correct?
Well, we're splitting the income
Yeah.
from the operation. Yes.
We're splitting income, but no, we are not.
It's not
paying
coming out of the city budget or right.
So
under the
If people
same,
don't come see it, they don't get paid.
Right.
it was under the same agreement that we had with Friends of Auburn. It's a split of the income. 75% remaining with the foundation to assist in the operation of the home. 25% coming to the city to assist with the expenses the city has, such as insurance and such as
let me
utilities.
ask you right quick.
Yes,
This make sound kind of like a little far fetched. Do you have any idea of what it will cost a year to manage this or whatever?
I really don't. The previous group gave us some numbers, but of course their visitation was way down over the last 2 years because of COVID. So they were barely, had any income coming in. So, it's really hard to say. I mean, we plan to promote it a lot more and have it open more. So hopefully to draw more visitors there, and, reach out to the cruise ships and other things like that to try to draw more people there. But we just don't really know yet.
Off the top of your head, could you give me a figure? You say they gave you something, but how much?
Gosh, I don't remember, but it was not more than a few $1,000s a year, that they were bringing in the last 2 years. It was not much at all.
A few $1,000 a year.
Some months they had, just very few visitors.
And we've spent thousands over there. And we're just getting a few $1,000s off our investment.
No.
But that's for another discussion. Let's move on.
Thank you,
Call the
Alderman Frazier.
question.
The question has been called. I would encourage Alderwoman Hall to add an amendment to her motion pending final review of the attorney. Obviously, we have to have a final draft provided to us by the attorney. But this is it. It just will be tweaked some and in a final form. I think, is that
We have to come
acceptable?
back. Okay.
We get
No,
another copy
I
of
mean,
that
we'll
copy.
approve it tonight,
Okay.
but it is pending the final,
Sure.
a final copy being provided to us
Sure.
by the attorney. We can't approve. Am I right, Mr. Calloway?
Sounds fair to me, Mayor.
That's
Y'all
what
are
we've
reading
done with-
Everything substantive except for the clause I added, the escape clause. But
We're-
yes, I still
We're
got-
approving it,
And
but
the
we
date.
still will want to see a
Adding the
final
addition of
copy,
the escape
presented
clause.
to us at our next meeting. But obviously, that final copy is what I sign, and we just want to make sure it's all passes attorney muster.
But, Mr. Mayor, I amend my motion to include pending approval by the attorney after the inclusion of the escape clause in this
All right.
agreement.
Second.
All right, that's a very specific item, and thank you. And that has been accepted by Alderwoman Smith, who seconded it. We have called the question. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Dillard.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. Yes.
I just wanted to thank y'all for taking this on, and I do hope that at some point it will work to the benefit of all of us. I love the idea that y'all are going to market it more and try to get more tourism in it. We own the building, the expenses are always ours and will be part of them. So this helps us offset those expenses. Thank you.
And we can't sell it. We have to keep it. If you sell it, be ready just to give up the entire Duncan Park, and that's not an
Mr.
option.
Mayor, I'd like
The,
to
yes, Alderwoman
thank
Hall.
the foundation also for this exhaustive inventory list. Thank you all. There's a lot of work went into that inventory.
Thank you, Alderwoman Hall. I was just about to make actually draw attention to that. Alderman, you have been given the full inventory of the furnishings at Auburn and also a full inventory of the books. I've also had a discussion with the insurance agent for the city requesting the immediate increase in insurance to a minimum of 1.5 million, which it's right now has been up until this point only insured, as you pointed out, for a little less than 700,000. We know it's worth more than that, but our insurance agent has suggested that we work with you, Mr. Burns, and also the Historic Natchez Foundation to ascertain the correct number that needs to be put on the house and contents. And we would like to have that from you as soon as possible.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we have requested an increase to 1.5 million. We also have confirmed today that the security system is working. However, at the advice of Alderman Dillard, we have looked into whether or not that includes smoke and heat, and not sure that it does. Jody Rudder has been asked to make sure that there is adequate smoke and heat protection there at Auburn, and we appreciate Alderman Dillard for making that suggestion. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. We will now move along. We're going to approve the minutes and the docket very likely at the very end of the meeting. And this is why, because we are going to have an executive session, and there are individuals attending the executive session. We don't want to hold them till 9 o'clock. And so we'll be our order of service, as they say, will be a little different. We're going to now go to our department directors' reports. Mr. Dollar, you're recognized.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Board.
Good afternoon.
First item I want to bring before you today is seeking permission to advertise for our 2022 city overlay project.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Irving. Seconded by, who seconded it first?
Dan.
Alderman Dillard has seconded it. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Hall.
Mr. Dollar, do you mean the 2023 project?
Well, it's listed as a 2022. That's how the project name is 2022 city overlay project. We started this back in
Because the bond was issued in 2022.
Okay, I just want to
That's why we're having
make sure
to
it's
call it
legal.
2022.
Yeah, it's just
Good
the
question. I
project.
asked the same question. Further discussion? I'll
Call the
call question. Obviously, we're ready to go with this. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I just want to bring it to your attention with what the county's doing, the city's doing, and then add in Morgantown and add in Silver Street. Do you know the county is looking at 8 million in projects, and we actually will be looking at possibly when you throw in Morgantown and Silver Street, the city's portion, somewhere near, and counting this, near 10 million. I think that is historic, and I'm excited about it. Just want to make that statement. Next item, Mr. Dollar.
The next item,
I did take the vote, didn't I? Yes. All right. Mr. Dollar, next item.
The next item is for the guardrail replacement on Roth Hill, more specifically the wooden post along Roth Hill
So
at
moved.
the top of the retaining wall.
Alderwoman Hall has made the motion.
Well-
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Smith. If we could take a look at what that is going to cost. I did talk to the city clerk, and she said that ample funds are in our capital expense fund. We have not encumbered that fund yet. This is obviously a safety issue, and sadly, it's just one of those things that we have to do. Mr. Dollar, what are we looking at?
The low bidder on the quote was for G. Rayburn Contracting in the amount of $61,680.
And could you just summarize what the contractor will be doing?
The contractor will be removing, we have at the top of the hill, there's a section there that has wooden posts. I think it's 6 in that section, particular section. From that point, heading down the hill, there is metal I-beam that's welded to the actual retaining wall. Of course, all of that is in good shape because it is iron. Once you get down to the bottom, there's a section that's got, I think it's 17 or 18 wooden posts that are in that section. And they're rotting. So with that, those posts will be removed. New post, new I-beam will be set, and the guardrail will be bolted and put back in place.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Alderman Dillard?
I was just following you there. Is because when it says replacement, is the whole entire railing system going to be replaced, or will there be? It sounded like sections, top and bottom.
Well, that's right, because the middle section, again, as I just stated, is in I-beam. The actual post that hold all your framing and guardrail, the actual timbers that you see, all that is held by I-beam. Of course, it's in good shape. Where we're having the problem is a section at the top and a large section at the bottom that was set in actual timbers. Those timbers over the last 25 years, yes, they have rotted out from the inside out. With that, therefore, all of your timber guardrails are basically just falling off because, again, there's no structure to hold those in place.
And so there will be wooden rails when you're going to do metal.
The wooden rails will still be in place. The actual vertical post will be I-beam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir, Alderman Frazier.
That's the rail itself, the wooden rails are still good, but down under the bottom where the wooden,
That's
like
correct.
where the trail at.
Right.
Down
So
the trail.
we're down at the bottom where it's lower. Now, of course, as the trail, the retaining wall gets higher.
Yeah.
So at that point where the I-beam was used, it was welded to the I-beam that was put in as part of the retaining wall. But as the project gets lower, they used actual 8x8 posts were used for that particular,
Okay. I see what's there. Okay.
And I will state again that we have confirmed with the city clerk that we have ample funds to do this in our capital outlay account. The question's been called.
Second.
We will proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Dollar. We appreciate you.
thank you.
And I understand in a discussion with Hayden Kaiser that we will be looking at most likely our next meeting, the suggestions for how to proceed on that retaining wall on Silver Street.
That's correct. Wanted
Yeah.
some more information in regards to
Okay.
a structural engineer.
All right, we'll hopefully be able to take up
Excuse
that
me.
at our next meeting.
You talking about
Yes,
the whole
uh,
retaining wall?
I'm sorry.
Alderman
You talking about the
Frazier.
whole retaining wall?
We discussed this our last meeting, the brick veneer, repointing it to protect the inner workings of Silver Street from being compromised due to the aging that's taking place.
I'm trying to get this in my mind. You're talking about the end where the saloon at, down that way.
Yes. So if you pull in the first boat ramp parking lot, you look back up the hill, up the wall, and you look
Where
up.
Steve Boat Landing used to be at.
Yeah, right there. You see the brick retaining wall.
Yeah,
That's
Steve
the
Boat Landing.
that's
Okay,
the
I know
retaining
where
wall.
it's at. I'm yeah, okay.
All right. All right. I thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Next item, Mr. Greg Brooking. We're glad to see you. Mr. Brooking, how are you?
Good evening.
All the women.
Mr. Brooking, before you get started, I have something here. Tee to Green Golf Magazine. This is a leading magazine in the industry, right here. Okay, you see that? And this is an issue that came out recently that says Natchez Golf Club stands the test of time, and it is a feature on our golf club and bragging on the fine job that you do, Mr. Brookie. I just wanted to. I've been holding that until you could be here in person. We appreciate what you do. I know you are excited to be finally upgrading some equipment. We've already budgeted for it. You're recognized.
And that's simply what I've come to do. The city clerk said that I need to ask y'all's permission to purchase this machinery. It's a single source from Toro. And I simply am asking for y'all's permission to buy these two pieces of equipment.
It's on state contract.
It's on a state contract. Yes, it is.
And it's actually two items.
Yes.
And do we need two motions considering it's two pieces of equipment, or do we do one?
Let's do one, Mayor.
Do one motion?
Just say what we're purchasing in the motion.
All right, and so I'm going to just state this, and then I'll look for the motion. And so we need the motion for a Toro Groundsmaster and for the purchase of a Toro Reel Master. The Toro Groundsmaster at an annual lease, purchase under state contract, and the same for the Toro Reel Master. Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Frazier.
I have some. We are, we done purchased a lot of equipment down there for cutting grass and doing the maintenance work down there. So you're requesting that we purchase this. What is the old equipment in that bad shape?
Yes, sir. This 5510 is replacing a machine that was purchased in 1999.
99.
Yes, sir. 1999. We have an excellent mechanic who has done a really great job to do it. Our safety switches, we can't purchase them anymore. It's actually a threat to our employees to be on those machines if they're harmed, because those safety switches are what allow them to understand if the machine's running, if they get off, it doesn't shut the machine off. There's so many parts we can't get for that 1999 machine that we can't keep it running. That's why we have to do it. The other machine was purchased in 2007, and we have kept it running since then.
Okay, so in other words, you tell me this machine 99.
The real master.
I'm saying it because I know we done bought plenty of equipment down there to cut the parts down there, and I wonder why you come with this, because I know it wasn't that much activity going on because of COVID, then I don't think that many people going to the golf course. But if we've had it since 99, I guess.
COVID doesn't stop.
Call the question.
I know COVID don't stop. No, people gonna come to the park.
The question has been called. Is there a
Might
second?
not come, but they don't play the golf. Ain't nobody been going down.
The question
I
has been,
had a comment. I just
Alderwoman
want-
Irving, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just want to ask. It said turf and irrigation. This was for watering. What's the purpose of the equipment? That's what I'm asking.
So the 5500 is for fairway mowing.
Okay.
The 4000 is for rough mowing.
Okay.
So our major areas of the largest acreage of fairways, we have about 40 acres of fairways, and of rough, we have about 70 acres. Those are our largest areas. These are our two most used machines.
Okay. That's all I had to ask.
And you know, really, it's kudos to the mechanics and the people that drive these machines that we can keep these machines going for this long.
Absolutely.
And they've really done a great job in taking care of them. And we very seldom purchase machinery at the golf course.
Any other questions? What we're gonna do? Add them to the surplus list?
I'm going to put those machines in a barn. Okay. And if we ever need them as a backup machine, we'll use them as a backup machine. I don't think that there's any value that we could get from those machines. I don't believe they're really, really old. It would be more valuable to us to skeletonize those machines for parts,
Cannibalize.
is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. To cannibalize those machines for parts than it would be to try to sell them. The value would be greater, I believe.
I got a
Mr.
question. I got a
Brooks.
question. I got a question.
Alderman
I got a
Frazier.
question. You say you're gonna put the old machine in the barn
Mhm.
and take the parts in case of the old machine, if they need them, put them on the new machine in case something goes
If
wrong.
need
Am I
be.
correct?
If need be, and if they can go on that
I was
other
just
new
gonna say,
machine. You
are
see,
these
a
gonna be-
1999 may not be able to go onto a
Exactly.
2023.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are these machines gonna be compatible?
They may not be.
I
But I'll assure you of
we need to
this.
Sell them, or we don't just not put in the barn. We need to get rid of.
I'll entertain.
Call the question.
All right, the question's been called and seconded. We'll proceed to a vote. Alderwoman Hall.
Aye.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Aye.
Alderwoman Irving.
Aye.
Alderman Davis. Alderman Dillard. The ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
promise
Mr.
y'all,
Brooking.
I will use these machines for the best use they can possibly be used for.
But we didn't
Thank
get asked
you.
the question.
Thank
about
you.
Oh, they don't get
warranty on
lost.
it. It will come with the warranty.
Oh yeah,
I'm
these
sorry.
yes, the new machines do.
The vote is done. We're going to move on.
Okay, thank y'all.
What we're about to do is we have taken care of the city attorney's report. My report is going to take very little time, but we can do that at the end. I would like for the officials' reports to do so as well, because I don't want to be here all night and we have an executive session that we need to have. And I would like to right now have a motion to go into closed determination of executive session for the purposes of executive session. And then we will come back and we will make the motion whether or not to actually go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion? We'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion does pass. We will now go into a closed determination and we'll be right back to let you know what the decision is regarding executive session. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our our meeting for a closed determination. And included in that motion will be the report that it has been determined. Let's just keep this simple. Let's just first have a motion to close the determination
moved.
meeting. The closed determination meeting. Anyone opposed to that motion? The motion's been made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Without opposition, that motion passes. The report is that it has been determined in a closed determination. Mr. Attorney.
That there are matters that need to be discussed in executive session, but it will require a motion, Mr. Mayor.
And we don't have to say any further of what there's.
We need to have a motion now to go into executive session
So
for.
moved.
And do I say what for?
You do.
Okay.
At this point.
And so for the discussion of potential sale of city-owned property, for the discussion of confidential economic development information, for the discussion of personnel matters within the police department, and for discussion of potential litigation regarding the city's zoning ordinance. And that is the motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion on the motion? We'll call for the question.
Carl.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We now will go into executive session. We'll have a report at the end of that. And I'm going to invite at this time, Mr. Russ and also Mr. have a motion, and we need to make a note of the time. A motion to adjourn the executive session and return to regular session. Alderman Davis has made the motion, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. We'll call for discussion. We'll now call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The report is that we had a discussion of potential sale of two city-owned properties. No action was taken. We had a discussion of potential economic development prospect, confidential in nature. Again, no action was taken. We had a discussion of potential litigation regarding a zoning matter. Again, no action was taken. We had a discussion regarding personnel matter in the police department, and again, no action was taken. And that constitutes our report. Mr. Attorney, anything to add? Yes, sir. All right, we will now resume our regular meeting. We're going to now go to approval of minutes. Madam Clerk?
No minutes.
Okay, we don't have any minutes to approve? All right, we'll now go to the city official reports. Alderwoman Hall.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. It will be brief. As chair of the Education Committee and per our code charter, I am giving notice of a public meeting of the Education Committee to review applicants to the Natchez Adams School District Board of Trustees. This meeting will be held 6 p.m. February 7th, 2023 in City Council chambers. I am grateful to Representative Sam Mims, Senator Melanie Sojourner, Senator Robert Johnson, and Senator Kelvin Butler for attending the legislative breakfast yesterday. It was a very productive meeting, and I'm looking forward to continuing working with them on matters pertaining to Southwest Mississippi and Natchez Adams County. I'm also grateful to Board of Supervisors President Warren Gaines for his and the Board of Supervisors' continued support for city and county, working together in all aspects of city-county government, including working relationships between the Sheriff's Department and our Natchez Police Department. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Alderman Frazier, your report.
Yes, my report is gonna go back to December. I just want to thank the Natchez Water Works. As you know, in December, we had a lot of inclement weather and stuff and a lot of burst pipes. The Natchez Water Works crew had a crew out riding through the neighborhoods, checking and checking, make sure that there wasn't any burst pipes. They was finding these pipes and stuff. If someone had a leaky pipe or burst and flowing out in the street, they would find it and they put a tag on the house and cut the water off. So I thought they was Johnny on the spot with that. So I just like to thank Natchez Water Works for an excellent job. That's the end of my report, Mr. Mayor.
Great report, and I really echo your appreciation for them. Thank you, Alderman Frazier, for thanking them. They worked during some really tough conditions during the holidays. And I appreciate your service as utility chairman. And I also want to encourage you, just as Alderwoman Hall just did, I would like for you to call a meeting, a public meeting. We will have that meeting of the Utilities Committee soon to discuss two items that we need to discuss pertaining to trash, the contract on our landfill use that will be coming up in May, and also on our RFQ responses regarding improved street lights for our community. So as soon as we're ready to announce that, we'll make that announcement. All right. Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, and I've said it before, it's past utility chair, but I do think we need a meeting to start back quarterly meetings with or at least bi-yearly meetings with our utilities folks, all of them, AT&T, water, everybody. We used to do those. So they're a good thing to have for the city. And then I just want to reiterate the thanks that they both sent out for our legislators and our waterworks department. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Irving?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I want to just ask a question in reference to the Education Committee, the meeting that's going to be held. That's just for the members of that committee. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
That will be meeting? Okay, so will minutes and all be recorded so that the public will know or the rest of the board would know? And those
Absolutely.
minutes-
Yes, we will.
Okay, just
Yeah,
one,
I hope all
my
committees
reason for
do that.
asking is
I'm
because
sure all
we have to
committees will
follow
do that.
the Open Meeting Act law, so we should be
I just
provided
announced
those
the public
minutes.
notice.
And I'm asking not for just the Education Committee, but all committee meetings that we have, that we be provided minutes. That was something that came out when we went to the municipal law meeting. That was information that was provided. Also, I mentioned in the last meeting that the city clerk should bring all invoices to the board meeting. And so I'm gonna ask, if I have to put it in the form of a motion, I will, that the city clerk bring all invoices to the meeting. So when we have questions about the claims docket, that information should be provided. That was something that was brought up in the meeting and that we should be provided that information.
Would you please, if you would, provide us documentation of that?
I don't need to
I
provide
think it'd be good for
documentation. I
everyone to
think
consider it.
that you could ask Mr. Tom Hood. He did
Hey.
I think there's a video. I didn't get a copy of the video, but that information has been provided.
I wanted to just say,
over and over
I was in a
again.
training on the coast just last summer of the City Clerks Association, where just the opposite was stated. So it would be nice to have that
I don't think I can get that
corroborated.
in writing there. I think you would probably have more access to his office than I would. So that may be something you need to look into.
Well,
just
I'm not-
only being
I-
the messenger, bringing back. the
I have not
information
heard
was
that
provided.
information. I've only
Okay.
heard the information from the City Clerks Association stating that aldermen, alderpersons should routinely communicate with the city clerk between meetings, because it is not to be expected that the city clerk can answer all of your questions at the board meeting.
Well, it
Our
was
city
just-
clerk is available, and that is one of the tenets of the City Clerks Association. Now, give us something different, and we'll be happy to consider it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, honestly, I shouldn't have to provide you anything. Why would I go to a meeting, attend a meeting, and go in there and bring back information?
I'm sorry,
that is
I'm not
pertinent?
entertaining argumentative
I'm
discussion. Do you
not
have anything
arguing.
else to report?
I'm not arguing, but I am going to say this, that it should be reported to ethics if not. That's what needs to happen, the ethics committee. Thank you, and that ends my report.
Thank you so much. Alderman Davis, your report?
Okay, I went to the legislative breakfast the other day, and I really enjoyed it. Our four legislators, they look like they're gonna try to support the Southwest Mississippi as they should. And also, today, Miss Tawana Williams, she I think she put some brochures in our boxes, supposedly. And it's dealing with she made up there's some nice brochures. And
I have them right here.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to be asking that these be distributed in the community. Thank you, Alderman Davis. Let's see, I don't know if I got.
And that ends my report.
And we're going to ask the Director of Communications to help us to get this into a digital format where we can put it out. And I thank you. I actually met with Tawana Williams this morning regarding workforce development, and this is a fantastic resource she has put out. She has worked so hard to bring all the components together, and I've encouraged her to come to this meeting next month and make a report to the board. Alderman Davis, thank you for bringing that up. Alderman Dillard, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not so much a report as I want to look forward to the discussion about Auburn brought up my concerns about our historic properties and the city's properties in general. And a thought occurred to me that I'm going to get with.
I'm sorry, I need order. I can't hear you, Alderman Dillard. I need order up here. everyone was respectful during the other alderpersons during their report. I would ask like for that same respect to be given to you. Alderman Dillard, please
I
continue.
appreciate that. I need a little respect. But any case, I want to get with the fire chief and I'm going to get with the building inspector and our properties and stuff and look and evaluate the type of not only fire protection, but you have to have fire prevention or fire detection. And I think the systems are much more sophisticated than they've ever been. And I think that they would be readily available. For example, I don't know if the Angeletti House is. I don't know if City Hall is. It's got a fire detection system. And so I'm going to get with the chief and we're going to see if we can put something together. I'm almost at the verge, Mr. Mayor, on all historic properties within inside the city of Natchez. Maybe there should be an ordinance that they have to be really to an approved fire detection system, not protection, at least detection. So anyhow, those things are going on and I'll get back with the board. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's a real good point you make, and thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
may I interject
Alderwoman
one
Hall.
more item. I would like for us to pursue again, getting automatic external defibrillators for council chambers and city hall.
Mr. Mayor, I want
And
to
let me make that note. You want, would you say that again? This
Yes, sir.
request?
Us to again pursue getting automated external defibrillators
When I just
for
Okay.
city hall and council chambers. There should be one already in city hall and no one can seem to find it.
ADDs.
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
will
Mayor.
certainly look into that. Alderwoman Irving, did you have something?
Well, I was just
heard
gonna
you-
add, that was what I had inquired about a while back as well, and I was told that there's one already at City Hall and one for the council chambers. I know that in the previous administration, there were 4 given to the city. One was at the community center, one was at the convention center, and at City Hall. So
Okay, we'll look
we'll
into
just see,
that.
could we-
Thank
okay.
you so much.
Mhm.
We are now ready for the city clerk's report, approval of the 2nd January 2023 claims docket. Madam Clerk,
Yes, we request approval of the 2nd January 2023 claims docket.
what is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith, seconded by Alderman Davis. Discussion on the motion.
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving?
Okay, it's page 32. And what I wanted to ask was, I looked at the claims docket, and I was looking to see at the Angelated House on page 37 in the budget status report. 15,000 has been allocated for maintenance and repairs, and 5,000 for contract. Well, initially, when we did the budget last year, $25,000 was allocated. And so now I'm only seeing just a total of 20,000. It was in the budget, but now that I'm looking at the budget status report, it's been reduced by $5,000. And that was approved by the board.
If we can just have that looked into, and make sure that the budget status report is correct and represents the correct amount that was budgeted for the Angeletti House. Further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Alderwoman Irving?
On page 34, Paul Perry, last mini claims docket, he was paid $200. Now it's $225. So what's the fee for him? Will it be $200 or, and this is for Auburn maintenance. So what will be his fee? $200 or $225? I'm just asking the dollar amount.
Madam Clerk?
We spoke with Megan about Paul and the other guy, Sam, and she said what she's gonna do, she's gonna call them in and just talk with them just to get a set price set in, because there is not a set price for either the auditorium or the Auburn.
Okay.
Nothing set in stone. So she said she's going to get with them and talk to them about
All
their
right.
invoices when she gets back.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion?
That ends mine.
Any
That's what I
further
have.
discussion?
Call the question.
The question's been called. Second?
Second.
We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item, approval of the mini claims docket, the 2nd January
So
2023
moved.
mini claims.
Second.
Alderman Davis has made the motion to pass, and Alderwoman Hall has seconded that motion. Discussion. We'll
Call
call for the
question.
question.
Call.
Question is called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. We now will move to the mayor's report. I want to state that we have been talking to the casino, Magnolia Bluffs, to Mr. Tim Morrissey, who is the general manager on behalf of Saratoga. They are very excited to be in Natchez and showing support for our community. They are also very excited for the fact that we have an agreement that provides for generous funds that come from the casino to support improvements in our community development fund. And at one time, when this fund first became into use, we had an advisory committee. That advisory committee has not been utilized in a long time. And so the mayor is allowed to, if I could have your attention, please. There's no vote taking place. Thank you, Alderman Dillard. We're not going to vote. And so the situation here is that I need, it's very late and these interruptions are causing us to go even later. I'll do my best to ignore it. And so this advisory committee is being reestablished. And tonight I announced that I have appointed an ad hoc committee. I will chair this committee. It will consist of the chairperson of our city's tourism committee, Sarah Carter Smith, the chairperson of our recreation committee, Valencia Hall, Tim Morrissey, the general manager for Magnolia Bluffs, and Mr. Robert Johnson, the attorney for Magnolia Bluffs. Representative Johnson is very excited to be appointed, as is Mr. Morrissey. Alderwoman Smith and Alderwoman Hall have accepted the appointment. The advisory committee will have only the authority to advise because these funds are city funds. The mayor and board of aldermen will have final decision-making authority for how the funds are expended. We look forward to having a meeting very soon as we look forward to Magnolia Bluffs more visible and continuing presence in our community. So that is an announcement, and wanted to make sure that was on the minutes and that it is official. We now have a new Community Development Fund Advisory Committee. I would like to have continued discussion on the Natchez Comprehensive Drainage Study. You just got this today. I know it's just hot off the press. It is a revised report. I would encourage you to study it. We will discuss this at greater detail in our next meeting when the engineers can be present. However, for the purposes of seeking funds, knowing that we can alter priorities, we can alter anything here as we want to at our next meeting, I would like to entertain a motion that we accept the City of Natchez Comprehensive Drainage Study with the understanding that it is a fluid document subject to discussion and continued revision at any time.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. I think it's important to put that wording in the minutes. This is a fluid document, subject to discussion and revision at any time by this mayor and board. Erosion is happening right now with the rains we've had. And so it's not a once and done thing. And priorities can change. Look over it, and we will look forward to having more discussion. I'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a
Second.
vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We will tomorrow convey this to our lobbyists and ask them to begin working on funds. And it's our understanding that the engineer who prepared this, Jared Monso, is actually in Washington working on that even as we speak. But I also want to call to your attention in your packets a letter from local engineer Hayden Kaiser. Mr. Kaiser has worked for many years on some of these projects and has asked for consideration as we move forward on some of these projects, and actually has plans and some estimates already that can be looked at, and including the Concord Drainage Project. So I want that also included in the minutes, and have Mr. Kaiser's letter of interest that has been sent to the board spread on the minutes. He is a local firm. He's asked to be considered, and here is a copy of his letter for the minutes. Also, we are not taking action on this, but I want to make sure going forward that, and this may require some long meetings, but sometimes it is said that we're just trying to do things so fast here. Well, yeah, because things are happening fast, and just, hey, catch up because the train is rolling. We have a new Ashburn Woods subdivision that is now complete with the exception of lighting. Under our ordinances, there is a process for accepting a subdivision that includes addressing the lighting. We are working on an agreement regarding that acceptance and regarding the street lights for Ashburn Woods. And just know that we will be bringing this to you at a meeting very soon, and I wanted you to have an advance notice. Anyone who has further questions on that, feel free to come to my office, call me. I'd be happy to help you. And I'm going to again ask for attention and order at the meeting. Thank you. It is the height of disrespect. Discussion of upcoming issues that need to be addressed by city committees. We've already talked about this, but I do want to say going forward, each one of you is the chairperson of a city committee. If a city committee is not meeting, it's because you have not called that meeting. I applaud you, Alderwoman Hall, for calling a meeting publicly of your committee. It is not my job to call meetings. It is your job as the committee chairpersons. And so we look forward to your committee's meeting. You're welcome to call those meetings at any time. Be prepared to take minutes at your own meeting, because that is to be expected, and it's not too much to ask. While we are on the subject, I want to just say also, come and check your mail. We've had some mail boxes at City Hall so crammed full we can't get additional mail in. The Alderman boxes need to be checked on a regular basis. If you're not informed and the mail is sitting there at City Hall, it's not our fault. Also, if you need a key to City Hall, every alderperson is deserving of a key. If you don't have a key, then ask for one. Now we'll move on. Approval to reappoint Commissioners Larry Gardner and Brenda Holmes as city appointees to the Election Commission. That motion has been made by Alderwoman Irving, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion on the motion? We'll proceed. All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I do have some miscellaneous updates that are very important. Our Legends concert celebration has been, because of scheduling issues that I mentioned to you last week, has been moved to June 17th. Dorothy Moore is still confirmed. We're working on a great program and a great celebration of Juneteenth. I confirmed also today with Ms. Jarita Frazier King that this will not conflict with her community table event. She has decided to move that event to the fall because it is so hot downtown, and it has, the heat in the past years has really interfered with attendance to her event. So just put that on your calendars, the Legends celebration. While you are marking your calendars, I want to make sure you are aware that we will have our celebration kickoff of Black History Month next week, Wednesday, February 1st at 1:30 at NAPAC, where we will unveil the signs for the new NAPAC self-guided Black History Tour of Natchez. I am so excited about that. Can't wait for that event. We've already shared with you a new brochure on workforce development in Natchez, Adams County, and I'm so excited about the partnership we have with the Adams County Board of Supervisors and with Natchez Adams School District. It is a very good thing. Alderman, today you were delivered a timeline for the golf clubhouse project. we have very good news for you, and that is that the renovation is going to be underway this year, and the actual schedule has been shared with you today. I'm looking for my copy right now, and that basically we are still in design development. We will actually look at the construction document being prepared by April, and we basically will be ready to advertise for bids by April the 25th of this year. We hope to award the bid by June 12th and construction begin June 14th. The historic renovation, $1 million renovation of the Natchez Golf Clubhouse at Duncan Park. I would like a motion to accept this project schedule and spread it on our minutes. Motion made by Alderwoman Hall. Do I have a second? Second by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion. We'll call for the question. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. I'll pass this down to the city clerk so that it can be spread on the minutes. The last item that I have for you, and that deserves applause, the last item that I have for you, we need to discuss revised raised grant details. As you know, Neil Schaefer is working on a raised grant application for our Forks to Freedom Corridor project. This project will greatly enhance the area from the flyover, the entrance to downtown, and especially the area of our historic district through the Devereaux Drive area, St. Catherine Street area, the development of the city portion of Forks of the Road, and also the development of Rebels Plaza. We had a great meeting with the engineer this morning. We are excited that things are continuing there on schedule. That has to be completed by the end of February. Now, that said, you should have received an email today. This is somewhat disappointing news, but it is what it is. This raised grant is through the United States Department of Transportation. Therefore, it is for transportation items. We are in competition with municipalities across our state and also across our country. All of these are scored, and on a scoring basis, deductions are made for anything that is not pertinent to transportation. It has been determined through the review that the Angeletti House, the U.S. Colored Troops Monument, the depot renovation as a visitor center, and the Proud to Take a Stand monument improvements are not related to transportation. Therefore, they're having to be taken off of the list at this time. But we will keep on the list Highway 61, Devereaux Drive Flyover Gateway, an interpretive trailhead with green infrastructure, Devereaux multi-use path and bioretention, Forks of the Road interpretive trailhead with green infrastructure, downtown intersections, safety and accessibility improvements per the downtown master plan, and the Revels Plaza Gateway, traffic calming, interpretive elements, and possible green infrastructure. They are working on these plans now. We are excited about it. I also want to say we are very grateful to Zion Chapel for their wonderful renovation of the filling station. We were out there yesterday. It is going very well. We also have encouraging news. While we can't pursue these funds, the depot, we can celebrate the fact that we were awarded a grant through the Department of Archives and History, $147,500 to assist with the renovation of that building. And we are going to begin working toward those plans immediately. We still have to look at what we can do for the Angeletti House. We will be looking to other sources, and we have asked the engineers and others to help us look for other sources of revenue. We also, because of our action tonight, are immediately going to begin pursuing grants and appropriations in various places for our U.S. Colored Troops Monument on the bluff. So we're not giving up on any of this. In fact, I still want to, even though we've done so much at Proud to Texas Stand Monument, I still like to improve that landscaping and seating to include some benches, but we just aren't able to do that in this grant. Understanding that, I would like to spread this letter, this notification that has been provided to all of you. I would like to spread this from our engineer, Russ Bryan at Neil Schaefer, and I would like to have a motion to accept the terms of this revised grant application for the raise grant. Motion made by Alderwoman Hall, seconded by Alderwoman Smith. Discussion. We then will call for the question. We'll proceed now to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderwoman Smith and seconded by Alderman Davis. Any discussion? Call for the question. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. You're welcome to spend the night here. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you so much.